Hi, my friends. Welcome back to the Flamingo Advantage podcast. I am talking today about selling without selling. If you own a business, you run a business, you're always selling. One of the reasons that I went into education when I went to college was not because I was going to go into business, but because I knew that no matter where I was going to be and what I was going to be doing, I was going to be teaching somebody something. And the same is true with sales when you're talking about business. Anywhere you are, you're selling something. You're selling you're selling the transformation, you're selling the life change, you're selling the hope, right? But the way that we go about it makes it feel like we're selling in the bad way, the way that everybody thinks of that four-letter word, S-E-L-L, or it makes it feel like we are serving them. And so today I want to try to shift your perspective around selling, making it feel more like serving and show you how you can sell without selling. Now, one of the things that you will hear me refer to today is Myron Golden, and he is a believer who is in the sales business. And one of the things that he says is don't try to get people to buy, create an environment that makes them feel like buying, right? So don't try to get them to buy, create an environment that makes them feel like buying. And I'm a little bit different in my perspective. Like, I do think that the environment is important, but I don't think that's the purpose of the sales call. I believe that as a steward of this business, as someone who is put here on earth to glorify God and enjoy Him forever, as someone who is here to carry out what God wants to do through me into affecting the lives of the people that I get to reach, I believe that sales is more about helping those people make the next right step for them. I don't think it has as much to do with the actual sale at all as it does with helping them to make that next right step. And so as we look at this, how do I sell without selling? We're going to go back to biblical principles first, then we're going to talk about some common practices in the sales as service philosophy, and then we're going to bring some questions home. So number one, in talking about this sales as service, is we have to go back to scripture. And what does God say is my purpose even in sales? And I go back to 1 Corinthians 10:31. Whether therefore you eat or drink or whatsoever you do all to the glory of God. And that includes those sales conversations. That includes how we're helping our people get to the point of decision and the point of taking action for the next right step for them in their journey. I also think about the verse in Philippians 2, verses 3 and 4 from the ESV version says, "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others." And so I believe that the biblical principle here is that even in a sales call, I should be looking out more. I should be more concerned for the interests of the person that I'm ministering to, the person that I'm serving in this conversation, than I am for my own interest. And so as I look at that, do all to the glory of God, like, will this conversation glorify my God? And number two, am I looking out for their best interests first? Because God's got my interest covered, right? God owns the business. God's the one who pays my salary. He's got my best interest covered. And so I can focus in on helping that person at the other side of this conversation to be able to get to the next best yes for them, whether or not that's a yes to what I am offering them. And so I think that this gives confidence. I think in order to be able to be a good salesperson in today's world, in today's market, one of the biggest things they say is confident. Whoever is the most confident wins the argument or wins the conversation. And yes, that's true to a degree, but the confidence is not in you and your ability to convert or your ability to, we would never want to manipulate a conversation, but the confidence comes in knowing that my job in this conversation is helping this person, and that whatever that outcome is a success for this outcome, right? And yes, I do want to make sales in my business. Yes, I do want to make that income. I do want to have more people that I can help. But if that is the only thing pushing me in sales, my sales are going to feel slimy, sleazy, and salesy, right? But if I can back up and come from a heart of service, a heart of confidence that says, my God pays my bills. This is not about me finding more provision for me. This is not about a prospective client paying my bills. It's not about a prospective client being my paycheck for the next few weeks. This is about helping them get to the next best decision for them. And that will be a successful sales conversation. This is that heart of service, that confidence that says, I am confident if we discuss this, we're going to be able to find a next best step for you. Maybe that's the thing that I'm offering, and maybe it's not. But either way, my job in this conversation is to help you successfully take that next step. And you know what? If that's not me right now, if that's not my offer, it may be in the future. A no for now does not mean a no forever, right? And a no for now that came with no pressure, a no for now that came with kindness and service is going to go further in the long run for bringing that person back to me when it is the right time for them to be able to make that decision. And so that leads me into the next thing, talking about confidence being one strategy, confidence that, again, confidence in the owner, confidence in the God who put me here to begin with, confidence in God helping me help you make the next best decision. But the second thing is that being indifferent to the sale. When we want something, when we want someone to do something, it comes through in our conversation. When we want them to say yes, when we want them to click that button and buy now, right? When we want them to do that, it comes through. When we need them to do that, the hunger and the need and the pressure or the anxiety is there on your end, that is absolutely felt on the other end. And so being indifferent to that sale allows you to be obsessive about the clarity of the person's next steps. Obsessive about the clarity, not obsessive about the sale. You can be indifferent to the sale, whether you buy or don't buy, whether we win or lose, right? The best outcome is the best outcome for you in this conversation. And so developing that mindset of being able to let go of the results and let God handle it is another thing that ties back to your mindset as a believer. And we're going to go deeper into this at our 3-day event coming up. We do these every couple of months. The Christian Marketing Retreat, a lot of our first day is all around this mindset of serving. A lot of day 3 talks about these kinds of sales conversations. We'd love to have you join us there. If you want to learn more than we can share just in this podcast episode, go check that link in the show notes and get all the information to that 3-day Christian Marketing Retreat. But in doing this, learning how to have that indifference, the thing that says this is not about me, this is about you. And I'm going to be fine no matter what you decide. I don't need you to buy this. I need you to make the next right step for you. I need you to be confident that you are making the next best decision for you. Because when you're confident, you're going to be committed, right? When you're confident, you're going to be committed to the outcome, to doing the work, to finding the money, whatever the case may be, right? When you are confident that this is the next step for you, then you're committed. I don't need this. And by not needing that, you're both giving them space, but it also comes sort of as a challenge. They are expecting pressure to buy because that's the way the world does it. And when you come in with something different, it takes them off guard and it allows them to look at this from a different perspective. Is this the next right step for me? And to do that without the pressure. And so the questions that I would ask you as you look at your own sales and marketing techniques, as you look at the way you have these conversations over the phone or on Zoom or in person, as you look at the way you do your sales conversations in social media messaging, as the way you look at your sales pages on your website, are you trusting in God for your provision, or are you putting pressure on them? Are you giving them the details they need to make the next right decision for them? And yes, sometimes we do need pressure in terms of time limit. Some of us need that time limit in terms of this is registrations only open through this date because we got to get in and get started. It's necessary for the success of the program and the fairness to the other people who are joining that we get started, right? And so you have to have some of those dates and things that give an automatic pressure sometimes. But in terms of fake pressure or put on pressure, there's no need to do that. Your job is to get them to the next right step. And so am I putting authentic pressure in the right places with my sales pages and conversations? Or am I putting an affected, unnecessary pressure on them? And how can we do this better? How can we glorify God more through this? How can we, through our sales pages, perhaps even without even naming the name of Christ, show an excellence and a love for our people that comes through on those pages? And so I hope you'll take some of those thoughts to heart. I hope that you will be listening for the episode with Justin Justin Janowski, a Christian sales guy, one of my good friends, someone I met at an event several years ago. That episode is going to be a really good one as well. It's diving in further into what does it look like to have a Christian sales perspective in your business. And so I would love to have you hop over and check out that link in the show notes below as well. If you have questions around this, leave them for us. It gives us good information to be able to come back with some of those shorts in between our episodes or for a further episode. And we love hearing from you anyway and knowing what this means for you. If you know someone who needs to hear this today, be encouraged to trust in their God, not in their clients for their provision, to be encouraged to examine their perspective around sales in their business. We encourage you to share this with them. Like, subscribe, share, you know the drill. We can't wait to have you back in the next episode because your message matters. God's purpose for you is bigger than you can see right now. I know that in my heart, and I'm excited to be walking with you as you do business with God.